using the DJI mics did not work. Hopefully just these straight up old school headphones work. But that said, we are doing the daily financial news a little bit early. I actually have some family responsibilities, so I wanted to get this out of the way. And sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. The show must go on. So what is going on in the market? What happened Friday? What happened over the weekend? And could Monday be Bloody Monday? Well, folks, on Friday, we learned that Kevin Worsh is going to be the next Fed chair. And that has sent a cascading of events where I essentially think the market is repricing things. What do I mean by that? Well, going into Friday, the leading predictions were for Rick Reeder or maybe Kevin Hassett. Kevin Worsh was, certainly there, but not, the top dog until the very end. And I don't think the market was set up for Kevin Worsh. Kevin Worsh is a different kind of Fed president. What do I mean by that? And let's be clear, this is important. Ever since Janet Yellen, the Fed has been comfortable increasing the size of the Fed balance sheet. Right? I don't know what it is today, but I think it got as high as $9 trillion, the Fed balance sheet. I think today it's probably in the high sevens. They've certainly been shrinking it at least a little. But Kevin Worsh, unless he changes his opinion, is adamant that inflating the Fed balance sheet increases asset prices. And he's the next Fed chair. The other thing that Kevin Worsh says is he's not opposed to cutting rates. This is what Trump wants to hear. However, I suspect Kevin Worsh is going to want to reduce the balance sheet. And what you should hear when I say that is think reduce liquidity. The liquidity pump is over. Things are going to reprice. You saw what happened to silver on Friday. Have you been seeing Bitcoin over the weekend? It's now in the 70s. All kinds of assets need to be repriced because a Fed balance sheet that is reduced is going to force asset repricing, reallocation, things of that nature. It could be bloody. Monday morning could be bloody. So who is Kevin Worsh? You may not have heard his name. You may not know who he is. Well, he was a Fed chair in 2006. In 2006, at the ripe old age of 35, yes, 35, he was the youngest Fed president ever. And of course, being a Fed president in 2006 means he had trial by fire. Again, 2006 was just the beginning. His term of 6 years meant he lived through and invested through and probably was a part of the Fed that was the most important. It is going to be interesting. Next up, after leaving the Fed, he spent a decade at Stanley Druckenmiller's family office. Why is that important? Well, do you guys know who else in the Fed or in the Trump world is a Stanley Druckenmiller protege? The one and only Scott Bessent. Scott Bessent spent a lot of time with Stanley Druckenmiller, and it's probably hard to argue that of all Trump's nomination, I believe that Scott Bessent is single-handedly doing the best job. And now we have Kevin Worsh, another Stanley Druckenmiller disciple. It's going to be interesting. The other thing you need to know about Kevin Worsh is he was a hawk. He was a hawk during the GFC. He did not want to increase the Fed balance sheet. He did not want to cut, and he dissented. He was the lone dissenter in that environment. Think about that. Think about how much of a hawk you have to be to not want to cut during the GFC. These are things that are real. These are things we have to think about because, again, Friday morning, we got a new guy. The new guy's going to come in with his mission, reduce the balance sheet. And we're already seeing the cascading of asset prices adjusting. The last thing to highlight is Kevin Worsh has changed his tune a little bit. Again, I said earlier that Kevin Worsh likely will be cutting interest rates, but you want to know why? He actually fears deflation. Deflation, not inflation, not disinflation, deflation. Why? He is concerned about an AI-driven deflation cycle. Interesting. All right, that's again what's going on. I think the market got a guy that was more hawkish, a guy that's going to turn off the tap for liquidity, and now you got Wall Street and funds running around, adjusting their trades. What's going on Monday? Next week for economic data. It starts hot and heavy on Monday. We've got auto sales, ISM manufacturing. Tuesday, we start the three-legged stool of jobs. We got the JOLTS report, job openings. We have ISM services. Wednesday, we will get the second leg of the three-legged stool on jobs, and that's the ADP or private payroll. Thursday, we will get weekly claims. Again, a nice weekly drumbeat of what's going on. I think last week was 206. The week before that was 200. We will also get Fed speeches. We'll start again next Thursday. And then Friday, we will get the final leg of the jobs number and the most important, how many jobs were created in the month and what is the unemployment rate last reported at 4.4%. Also on Friday, we will get consumer sentiment. Something else I failed to mention about Kevin Worsh that is important, and I think it's wonderful, frankly. Kevin Worsh wants the Fed to shut up. Kevin Worsh does not want the Fed, the 18 members of the Fed board, to continually talk to the press, continually be out in front. He thinks that the Fed should shut up and do its job, which I think all of us would like to see. Alrighty, folks, it looks like lots of you are joining our school community because you want to live stream our Vegas event. Great news, the Zoom links are now on the calendar. There are 4 Zoom links. You will have the morning and afternoon of day 1, and then you will have the morning and afternoon of day 2. Let me just tell you about day 1. We'll talk about day 2 tomorrow. What are you going to see on day 1? You're going to get Cody Davis out of the gate, who is a multi-millionaire in real estate at the ripe old age of 24, I believe. Again, he is going to talk about what to do next. And again, he's done a lot of things in the real estate world. And again, love starting day 1 with Gen Z, because if they can do it, you can do it. Next up, we're going to have Jared, a wonderful member of the school community and ORAT family. He is actively investing in the hottest real estate space today called co-living, where you take single family homes and you reconfigure and you really maximize rent. Not only is Jared doing co-living, but he's doing out-of-state co-living. So again, you will hear how to do it right, the things you should ignore. Then we will have Jason Hartman. Jason Hartman wants to keynote right before lunch. So of course, we adjusted the schedule, and Jason Hartman will be the keynote in the morning. I think he starts off about 10 o'clock if you wanted to see that live stream. So if you want to see Jason Hartman, tune in for the first virtual, and we will do that there. Then I will be giving some awards in recognition. This is actually the funnest part of the event for me. I get to shout out 5 or 6 members of the ORAT family, give them their love and attention. It is the highlight for me of each event, so I look forward to that. Then after lunch, we will have the most impressive talk from last year, Fred. Fred is a mental health expert, and he will be back to highlight things that we could do to make sure we stay in the right headspace and keep moving forward. Also, it should be noted that Fred's gone the extra mile. He is going to take 4 half-hour conversations on Sunday over lunch. If you wanted to have one-on-one conversations, Fred has allocated 2 hours to our ORAT community to help you any way that he can. Fred is an amazing human being. He and his wife, Tamika, are flying all the way from Alaska to be with us. So shout out Fred and Tamika. Next up, you will have somebody that I follow on X or Twitter. She's a ball of fire, Leah the Trader. She takes no prisoners. She and I have talked about building a real estate portfolio in Europe. And again, she has done amazing things. I can't wait to introduce her more to the Orat family. Then we will have Andrea, somebody who welcomed Olivia and I to an event in Florida. She is going to talk about leaving a career. She was a doctor. She went to school to become PhD, a doctor, health professional, and she realized that she could not get her dreams in her native country. So she left her country, came to the United States, and started over. Again, these are important decisions and not ones to be made lightly. But again, sometimes you have to follow your dreams, and she will talk about that. Then we will have Aaron and his lovely wife talk about investing in a passion project. How do you go out and raise millions and millions of dollars to tackle a family mission project? And then finally, the one and only Simon, the uneducated economist, will be back at it, and he will be closing out day one before we have our evening together. As far as the agenda goes, no, there's not an agenda on Eventbrite because all these speakers keep making me change it. I literally spent the last 48 hours changing the agenda twice because people's flights were different times. So unfortunately, there's nothing on Eventbrite, but good news, I just gave you day one. And by the way, it might change. It just, you never know with folks flying in. But that is my best intention for day one. Again, you can only live stream it in school for $20. Last year, this would have cost you $99. It is my hope that hundreds of people join school so that we can show you the love and attention that this community gives you. Let's talk about some earnings. We got a bunch of earnings this week. We got Disney on Monday, Palantir and Simon Properties all on Monday. Tuesday, PayPal, PepsiCo, and Chipotle. It'll be interesting for me to see what's going on at Chipotle. Wednesday, Uber, Google, and Snap. Again, I think it'll be interesting to see what's going on at Uber. Thursday, we'll have Amazon, Barrick, Affirm, and MicroStrategies. MicroStrategies might be very interesting. Might have a record loss. If you don't know, I think last quarter, or maybe it was the quarter before, MicroStrategies had a record profit because Bitcoin was zooming. Now, not so much. In fact, last I checked, MicroStrategies is within 3% of going red on their $54 billion of Bitcoin. Think about that. You spend years acquiring Bitcoin, and in one cascading event, you're now almost in the red. Ouch. Not to be outdone, Tom Lee, who built a similar company called BitMine on Ethereum, he is down $6 billion. That's with a B, folks. Unrealized loss of $6 billion. Crazy. And then Friday, going back to the agenda, we got Toyota and Under Armour. Let's round it out with folks that joined school. We did get a lot of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We got Zach, Andrea, Justin, Deepa, Anthony, Chris, Joel, Jerry, Laura, Ivan, Brandon, and Chad. Thank you all for joining. I know some of you may have joined just for the event, which is totally cool. That's why I'm doing it. More of you should join to get the live streams. But again, I think what you're going to find out is our community is one of a kind, and you will enjoy it. Look at the 10 accountability groups, the free education, the active forums, and I hope you enjoy it. All right, folks, take care of yourself. Have a wonderful day. Sorry for going early. Sorry for the different sound, but we've got to do the daily financial news every day, even if I'm on the road. Take care. Later.